Hello everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we have a completely different map that I've never seen before in 1v1, and also Contra has apparently also never done it in 1v1. And the map is, as we zoom down here, Ragnarok. Made for 7v7s or FFAs. Made by Ragnar. And as we zoom out, because that's somewhat doxing his email there. We are with our contestants today of Teddy playing Armada versus Contra, who's also Armada. And looking at those metal spots on this map, this one here that Contra has chosen is a 5 metal a second one, and this map is obviously not the same either. This is also a 5.2. So the way I believe the spawn lines are on this map is that it's actually like this. So rather than a diagonal, it's supposed to be like the corner here versus this corner water versus this corner, and you're fighting across rather than up to down. So it is a little bit of a weird map. But what do we have available? So because of that, we have Teddy here getting a lot of metal extractors along this bottom side here, a 3.5 in the middle, and the rest being 1.7s, and then another probably high value one, yep, in the bottom left hand corner. Also 5.2s in the low ground here, but again, look how deep that trench is. It's going to be hard for units to actually get down there. You're going to need all terrain or air to get down there. And then also looking here, we have a Geo 3.9. And he said oops on something. He may have just accidentally reclaimed his factory, maybe. I don't know what he said oops to. We missed that. But a lot of chokiness on the bottom side. And on the opposite side here, we have Contra. A lot more open terrain. There is some very narrow paths there, but Contra did choose to spawn up in this top left corner. He could have spawned in the bottom left, but yeah, so this will be interesting. It's quite a very large map, and as we click player view here, we'll see that Contra just has no idea where Teddy is. You know he's not in the mirror spot for him in this top right hand corner. So you notice there's no metal down these sides at all. Even on this low ground, just completely empty. Only places that have metal are where you would be supposed to be fighting across, I guess. Like that. And as we look here at Teddy, he is getting quite a bit of metal banked up here, probably planning for another factory maybe. Building construction turrets in the water with nothing really to support it. Now Contra must be getting confused. He's like, where the heck is he? Because this little guy can see the metal extractor. He's like, where is he? He could technically be on this 1.7. He hasn't scouted there yet. That's where he's going now. But this does mean that all of these ticks that have been made, all 24 of them, are basically completely useless as Teddy is in the water just minding his own business. And those boats have spread out pretty quick here, gaining quite a lot of metal. He's got another 2 metal extractors he can get to before he really has to worry. And this tick is quite smart, managing to get all the way around there. Can't get to that 5.2 vision. And as we select Contra's view again, he's like, where the bloody heck is he? Oh, a seaplane factory coming out from Teddy. Quite early for a seaplane lap. But he needs something in order to get up onto dry land. There's too many metal extractors on dry land to just ignore. And Tidal on this map, great choice, which is probably what made Teddy go for this decision. But Tidal giving 28 energy on this. There you go. Contra now realizes he's got to be in the water. But Wind giving a variance between 0 to 10. So Wind is extremely risky, making the geo points on this map even more important. As we look over to what Contra's got going on, you can see he's walked down and built some tidals down here to give him that energy production. Not a single windmill produced from Contra. And planned transition to air here. That's going to be useful for him to get as much territory as possible, as quick as possible. As far as he's concerned, Teddy is just in the water. So the more metal extractors that he can claim, the quicker as possible, the better. But instead of actually going for Banshees here. Meanwhile, with this air constructors that have been built, we actually see he's managed to get a metal extractor on the land as well as in these two little pockets. With the 5.2 there, that's a tremendous amount of metal to be getting a second. And we can see that just those 2 metal points have given a huge boost to the metal income Teddy's got over Contra. And energy per second as well is 200% advantage. And as the scouts come out now from Teddy, hopefully going to get him some vision on what's going on the rest of the map. But with a gunship, he's not going to be able to do too much damage. He's not going to be able to damage the metal extractors. They're in the water. And surprisingly, that construction seaplane manages to survive a single run from this Falcon here, but won't survive the second one. And the seaplane gunships are definitely formidable. Missing quite a lot of their shots so far, though. Quite difficult to hit those ticks. And the gunship here coming in from Contra. There's already fighters out from Teddy here, but they don't seem to really be focusing the gunship. There they go, finally getting it killed. The bot lab is being pressured to finish. The seaplanes are superior to Tech 1 aircraft, especially the gunships are by far superior. You can see they're considerably slower though. And the fighters are trying to come in here to get some interceptions. Managing to clean them up pretty effectively though. Nothing here is going to like end the game right now. Just some good harass. There's too many fighters out from both players for these gunships to really have any substantial impact. And we'll see that this gunship not able to get that metal extractor due to elevation changes. But he does get this 5.2, which is a big amount of metal to be losing out on. And still plenty of seaplane fighters here hovering around, trying to give some vision and whatnot. Is he saying because it's still not finished building? The tick scum. They come for your bot lab, Teddy. Pro LLT getting a lot of work in there. Oh no. I was losing a construction turret there. Finally reclaiming the tick, but bit of a mistake. Getting a lot of metal extractors though for those seaplane gunships. Definitely worth their investment. We can see that 2 air constructors here also just flying around building some nettles along the middle. Just to kind of slow Teddy down. Teddy with a huge amount of metal banked at the moment. Could probably go Tech 2 if he really wanted to, but probably not worth the risk at this point. He's a bit exposed. Not only that, he's got so much ground to cover yet before he considers that. You can see him pushing out pawns here with the intention of trying to secure as much territory as he can. Being that Contra spawned in that top left, this area around here only really has 2 choke points. That is very easy to defend, with the exception of, obviously, all-terrain units. So this is a lot of metal, easily defendable if Teddy locks this down. To be honest with you, don't know if it's a very good 1v1 map. Contra is at a severe disadvantage when attacking Teddy's base here. So much like chokes and not much like dodging you're going to be able to do. Whereas Contra is kind of a bit open. I mean, you can say that, but at the same time, like, you come in from here, and then it's a straight shot across. And here, so I guess you've got this and this, the Contra's base. I mean, you've got that as well, but still. Teddy with a lot more stuff on the map, especially when it comes to energy production right now, as we can still see, is 97%, almost 100% advantage to Teddy at the moment for economy-wise. A lovely little pawn v pawn battle there, but not really able to accomplish too much by either player, as they're both losing pawns left and right. Teddy just trying to keep Contra a bit further back. But this is closer to the base of Teddy, meaning he should be able to get the reclaim if he chooses to. Now, just off screen here, the seaplane gunships just mopped up with the last few remaining air defense turrets. This would be a tremendous spot for a radar right here. You'd get so much coverage all the way around. It'd be great. But we actually see a Tech 2 transition here from Contra. Teddy's not really applying any pressure, so it kind of makes sense. He's got plenty of metal. This map is very metal intensive. But investing into air so much when your opponent is already very, very high on air is potentially a risky strategy here. The one high wind, it won't really be able to deal with this sheer quantity of fighters, and you can see it kills all but one before it gets killed. Do love a good air fight, and that fighter did a tremendous job going in, managing to get quite a bit, but the gunship's coming back across again, just cutting away at the metal production of Contra. With all gunships now destroyed, losing about 2 or 3 metal extractors, all of them relatively low value, 1.7 with 1 at a strength of 4 here. Teddy trying to push out a bit now, sending pawns pretty much all the way across the map. A lot of these metal extractors have nothing to defend themselves, and so will find themselves getting destroyed pretty quickly here. Contra with his commander moving down the middle with the intention of supporting this air constructor. The air constructor is going to move significantly faster than the commander though. And also still no defenses at all to speak of. And slowly but surely, we actually see the rise of a unit we never see. The turtle. As Teddy building a few more of these now. I'm actually building an amphibious factory, which you never see. So nice to see a use of some different units. Now this is, match did take place before the Season 2 changes. So bear in mind that these turtles would have been made quite a bit better Not entirely better, but still a bit better than what they are in this video. So just bear that in mind. Over the next coming weeks, I say weeks, probably weeks, there's going to be a mixture of some Season 2 games, some not Season 2 games. It's just where I've got some replays saved, like this one, from before the season changed, that I wanted to show you guys before they all become Season 2. Now, when we look at Teddy, let's see what factories he currently has. So he's got his seaplane. He's going T2 air. As we zoom across over here, he also has that amphibious factory, which, surprisingly enough, he's actually building a decoy commander. You very, very rarely see these used, so I'm really surprised. I'm also building crossbows to give some added anti-air to this turtle push. And meanwhile, in the middle, these pawns just not really being microed, as there's such a large area to cover, and this construction bot somehow manages to stay alive with all but 15 health. And there is a significant chunk of gunships now, which are able to deal with a lot of these single pawns running around, causing mischief. But still, these turtles, I'm surprised they're on land so early, to be honest with you. I thought it would have moved them up through the water a lot longer and then had them come up a bit further on. And here come the gunships, going to try and see what damage they can inflict. A lot of fighters trying to take out the gunships. Starting to get some damage now. Gunships are spread a little bit thin though, and focusing on really the wrong thing. And this gunship here being idle is so close to these energy converters. Also, the advanced Geo going up here. Nowhere near actually ready. And it looks like that's going to be stopped produced. That's about 500 metal invested into this so far. Maybe a bit more than that. And that's going to get absolutely destroyed, losing a lot of metal. And in come the gunships at the Tech 2 lab. Because of all of this metal extractors so spread out, it is quite difficult to defend them against a focused attack like we're seeing here. And desperately pushing out fighters, Teddy trying to save this lab. Whilst Teddy doing the right thing of trying to rush out air defenses, but with all the build power being picked away. Will this gunship raid be enough to put an end to the air problems of Teddy? Or Teddy's air problem for Contra, at least. No, as most of the gunships here get taken out by a mixture of the seaplane fighters and the Tech 2 fighters as well. Little did he know that he actually had 3 construction turrets down here in the water, just at the very edge. 15% health, though, left on that air factory. Definitely close to the end there. Meanwhile, did the turtles go in? I'm not seeing the turtles. Oh, they're still back there. And the crossbows tried to do a little bit there, but nothing to really write home about. So a lot of little bits of aggro here and there, just trying to cause some problems for both players. Lots of metal extractors lost there for Teddy, though, as we talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 metal extractors. One of those was a 5.2. So quite a lot of metal income lost. The rest of them all being 1.7s with a... Yeah, all 1.7s. Anyway, I see these gunships trying to kill this pawn here and really struggling. It took a very long time to kill that pawn. And Contra just building up a significant air force, kind of completely ignoring any form of land units. Now, this is a lot of terrain to cover, so focusing entirely on air kind of makes sense. But at the same time here, your opponent kind of has air superiority. So focusing so much on air is a bit dangerous. He says air superiority, and then Teddy loses everything. But with the amount of terrain problems here, air is clearly the right choice. Getting down here to get this metal extractor with anything but air would pretty much be impossible. A slow but methodical upgrade of metal extractors for Teddy here, switching 2 sets of Tech 2 guys just to go around and get all the metal extractors up to Tech 2. And a slow methodical build-up. We are seeing a fusion completed here by Contra, giving him the plenty, or I say plenty of energy, but he's actually struggling somewhat with the amount of build power he has on there. We do see him build a substantial amount of titles here, generating 392 energy, with even more here, generating 1,624. But what does he have to stop the turtles? Well, he has gunships. That's about it. Turtles have their own AA, as we can see, just popping up there from the back. It's not amazing, but it's something that will help. Turtle, a really undervalued unit here. Will they be able to accomplish anything, though? That's the question. A 750 metal and 15,000 energy. Quite a lot to invest. And this little hill is a little bit steeper than you think. And surprisingly, they have terrible vision, which is one of the things that actually changed in Season 2, was their vision ranges were increased. Because, I mean, this is inside its view, and it cannot see these whatsoever, which makes them pretty rubbish. This turtle getting surrounded by pawns, and just getting completely killed. Not enough splash damage on the turtles to real deal with clumped up units. And we have Teddy selected here. We can see, look how much metal he's got stored currently. 5,000 metal. And it looks like a shipyard being built on the middle, left-hand side there. Geo still not being rebuilt. But a few abductors here actually been produced, as well as an anti-nuke for Teddy. Now, I don't know what Teddy's plan is currently to finish the game. And speaking of which, his commander is where? In this bottom corner still. Hidden in the water. All of the turtles getting rushed. The decoy commander did build mines. And all these pawns trying to focus down the decoy commander. Just a huge quantity of pawns rushing in here. Turtles trying to back out. Decoy commander is running quite low on health here. We actually see Contra just chucking everything at this decoy commander. Contra obviously believes this is the real commander, thinking this will end the game. But little as you know, party time as the decoy commander gets destroyed, leaving nothing but confetti. And that did bait in a lot of the air of Contras here, which will now just be completely destroyed as the torpedo bombers, as well as a few gunships, get destroyed by the bait commander. This one guy up here, this hero constructor, just building as many nettles as he can. But you see how quickly they get killed by those gunships. And the sheer tick spam, too much for the turtles to handle. As they just completely run past the turtles. And the last two turtles getting quickly destroyed here. But with all those torpedo bombers gone, and 10 skaters in this little naval force here making its way up. A lot of the energy production that Contra has is about to be wiped out. Now, obviously, we've got the initial 392. There are some gunships, but don't forget, plenty of air defense units here as well. A huge amount of energy production damage. And this is the big one here, the energy converters and the sheer swarm of tidal generators. How much is going to get destroyed? Not going for the energy converters here at all, predominantly focusing purely on the actual tidal generators. Oh, there goes the energy converters. Contra's commander was down to 3% health. If Teddy actually had any form of underwater damage there, that would be it. Game over. At the same time, we see a tick push here. No, a tick and pawn push into a Tech 2 factory of Teddy's. There is nowhere near enough anything to stop all of this being destroyed. And that is a lot of damage dealt to Teddy, as well as this just sheer overwhelming force of 90 units make their way barreling into the base of Teddy. And again, the problem of just putting too many eggs in one basket that is air. And surprisingly, all of these construction turrets are actually doing a tremendous job at just eating all of the ticks as they go past. And because of that, it's actually made Contra turn tail and run. Then it looks like he's trying to take a different approach here, getting some of those Tech 2 metal extractors that have been built. Unfortunately, keeping his units a bit too clumped up and actually losing a bunch of them as they run past. Both players doing a good bit of back and forth here. Some accidental double metal extractors are on these positions here. That's quite a lot of wasted metal, really. Abductors attempting to EMP things. Try and mitigate this damage as much as possible. But it's not enough as he loses yet another Tech 2 metal extractor. Forces are pretty much dwindled now for Contra. And also not really many more targets of opportunity. And with that, he tries to extract as many units as he can. This does leave quite a lot of wrecks on the field. And also the factory's wrecks. These can be rezzed fairly easily. The amount of build power that he has, as well as these construction seaplanes, gonna make him be able to get around quite quickly. And when it comes to damage dealt up here, Contra did lose quite a lot of energy. At least 600. He had 1,600 earlier on. That's a lot of energy. We can see he is struggling right now. He's trying to build a third fusion. Builds of LLTs attempting to shoot the fighters, but not really accomplishing much. As they make their way up the hill here. It's probably going to be just too much quantity of stuff here for these LLTs to deal with. And you can see they get taken out quite quickly. As just they get surrounded on all sides by a quantity of ticks and pawns. but not enough actual meat in that group there, as they have to fall back. No real actual damage dealers here, just fighters from Teddy. He does have a couple of turtles, but not really, again, anything to write home about. And we see now the Resbots grouping up. Surprisingly, not going... There we go. I was about to say not going for the vehicle the Tech 2 factories, but yes, now they are. All these turtles now coming back to bite Teddy. As we select Teddy briefly here, you can see just how much metal he's got banked up and nowhere near the energy to power everything that he's got. And we can see metal excess here of 1.5k for Teddy. That's very unusual. Teddy's normally very good at micromanaging his economy. But yeah, not really able to fulfill his needs. Just not used to having so much metal available. And the inability to really power everything with winds is really hurting both players. The turtles actually getting dealt with here quite well. But there is a large quantity of pawns, ticks, and blitzes just making their way slowly down this middle section here. You can just see it on the minimap, the huge swarm slowly building up. The question is, what is Teddy's plan here to be able to deal with that? There's just so much anti-air here that it's not really going to do much to defend. He's going for welders, it seems. Also attempting to get some pop-up turrets here to try and hold on. Stouts also now coming out rather than blitzes. And one pitbull not really going to do enough. But it is slowly building up. Resbots right on the front here, taking some damage. Pitbull is taking out some stouts though. On its own, it's probably dealt with. I mean, it's killed 11, 12 things so far. Only going to do so much. This is actually surprisingly lasting a very long time when it's completely surrounded. And the welders desperately trying to just block this hole. Saying, "You will not pass!" And surprisingly, doing the job very, very well here. As all of the wrecks just completely blocking the route, meaning nothing can get up there. And units are starting to come down, but it's very much defensive position, well held. These ticks are just going to get completely destroyed by the welders as soon as they come into range. And the Tech 2 strengths are quite strong. Welders actually not doing that good a job at dealing with them. And some of the ticks did manage to get through. But Contra just not really able to amass enough of a force here to break through. Huge amount of reclaim though left. 11,000 metal. He has Resbots here. He is slowly losing them all though to this single turtle that just happens to be in range. And a decent quantity of welders now here. Slowly back up here though, we see a couple of gunships just slowly making their way around, trying to deal a bit of damage. But the new boats make their appearance. The Maelstrom here, lightning fast raider boat, making its way down towards the base of Teddy. Not enough really to make an impact right now, but Contra rushing back all of those tanks, trying not to lose them. Leaves a huge quantity of Resbots there to die. But a good chunk of Maelstroms now forming up. And they move tremendously fast when compared to other boats. Just look how fast they are compared to that longbow missile cruiser. And this absolute wasteland in the middle here. So many wrecks, so much reclaim. 26,000 metal in reclaim in this one section here. Just proves how difficult it is being for Contra to push in. And this is a lot of metal. Now, the Maelstroms are making a bit of a dent here, managing to push into the sea part. See how much damage they're actually dealing to any of these Tech 1 boats. Getting all of the build power. Not really able to stop them either. They just run straight through. Look how quickly they kill those tidal generators. More of them just make their way through. Luckily enough, they are only well, the raiders. They're doing the job right now as one still manages to make it through. 2 more behind, 3 more behind. And the longbow missile cruiser also there as well. He doesn't really have the AA to push any further though, as we see him slowly start to retreat. But that's a lot of base damage for Teddy here, losing a Tech 2, Tech 1, and a bunch of naval energy production. It's a good job that Teddy has that sea factory somewhere else, building more and more stuff. Where is it gone? I think he reclaimed it. He did have one at some point. I'll see a march attempted by Teddy, but getting shut down pretty quickly here. A flak also now been built called the Dragon Slayer by Armada. How effective they are at actually killing dragons is a different question, which we won't find out in this game, being the fact that it's arm v arm. Not only that, but these little Maelstroms have a little bit of AA on them as well. So all added up in a big group, they're actually making pretty short work of all these gunships. We actually see that it forces Teddy to run away the gunships he has left. So it's now a bit of a race. We've got this push of welders on the land and these Maelstroms in the water. Not only that, but we do see a nuke being built by Teddy here. Whether that will actually come to fruition or not is a different matter. We do see anti-nuke boats and an actual anti-nuke here by Contra, so it's not really going to accomplish too much. We see getting closer and closer to Contra's base. More and more pawns make their way through. Meanwhile, on the other screen, we'll keep track of the boats as they make their way around, seeing how much damage they're able to inflict. But this is the closest to finishing the game. These welders here, they stomp their way into the base of Contra. They are getting whittled down, and there is some further back that are actually getting killed here by gunships. But there's just so much electric damage here. And Contra's commander having to run into the water, try and save his life. He's dying very quickly though, manages to get under the water at 60% health. And meanwhile, those boats just causing tremendous amounts of problems for Teddy, killing a large amount of stuff as they go past. They do have no underwater damage though, being a problem, as he's got no way of dealing with any of those metal extractors. But as Contra loses build power after build power, factory after factory, it's a lot of damage to be taking here, and he needs to be able to deal equally as much. Teddy saying how fast those ships are. They are tremendously fast. But losing a lot of his tidal now, as well as it makes it into the core base of Contra. And just not really enough damage being dealt by those ships to make a difference. But so many construction turrets up there, the welders actually can't get close. Losing most of his titles now, if not all, leaving himself just those fusions. If these are able to get any sort of chaining done on that build power, it is completely it for Contra here. And yet another wave comes in. And with that, Contra has nothing left to defend with. Those boats did do tremendously well, but not really enough to write home about, as Teddy has definitely diversified onto land as well, getting plenty of resources. Teddy, though, obviously losing quite a lot of energy production, but with all the numbers on his side for quite a while now. And as the welders come up, none of them actually set to target the build power here. Tech 2 air goes up, and there goes the build power. And with that, Contra calling the GG on this very, very unusual map.
Battle ended.
So, what did you think of that map? A truly weird one. Teddy did a very interesting start. Not really do you ever see someone start water on a 1v1. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys next time.